What is going on, everybody? You're McLaren Speed Shot World Champion coming at you with a different kind of style of video. This is part one of a three-part series I'm going to do on how to beat Sakazuki with three different strategies, three different kind of deck builds, each one kind of matching the idea of the strategy, but each strategy will be adaptable for like any build you do, depending on the stats. But we're starting off with the 3-4 strategy with my boy Law here, and how this one kind of works. The overview is you're going to be hitting some combos with 3 cost and 4 cost characters with your summon ability. But before we get into that, if you're brand new to using RP Law, breaking down Law's ability is you get to return 3 Don, and then you get to return any of your opponent's characters with 3000 power or less. So how that works is the Don can be anywhere on the field. It can be active Don, it can be rested Don, or it can be Don that's attached to a character. So you can use this ability anytime during your turn, after you attack, after you summon somebody. It does not matter. As long as you have the Don, you can use it. And we're going to break that down and how to hit some combos and how to beat Sakazuki. But we're starting off here. This is, I feel like, probably the most aggro version and the most aggro strategy of beating Sakazuki. So I wanted to match up the strategy with the deck build. And this is my personal favorite build as well, because it just matches my playstyle and how I like to play. However, if you do not like this, it's totally fine. Like, this strategy kind of works as long as you have 3 cost and 4 cost characters. It'll work for anything. And I'll break it down into, starting part 1. We're going to go in depth with detailed notes. The first couple turns, I'm going to choreograph it out of what you can do and what to expect from Sakazuki. So let's get into it. So your opening hand, what you are looking for at the beginning of the game is any of your 3 costs. So whatever build you're using, I'm just using the examples from the build I'm showing you guys in this video. So Zoro or Zoro plus a combo of the boys or Beppo here. You want it. That's the combo you need. Any kind of 3 costs, but you do need at least one of these 2 cards for your 4 costs for this to work out. Because that way is the only way you can make this work onto turn 2, and to hit the 3-4 strat is getting a combo of these, and it's just very important. So this is what you're looking for in your opening hand. And then turn 1, we don't have any 1 cost that we can put down against Sakazuki because they are removable. So just end your turn and we move on from there. So jumping into Sakazuki, their turn 1, this is their play here. What they're going to be looking for is to play brand new. That is their search card. And if you're going up against Sakazuki, if they get the turn order, they will always pick to go second because their search here costs 2, and they want to be able to put that out on their first turn. And they're able to search for any Navy cards. The big ones would be their events, so like Great Eruption, Hound Blaze, because those help them immensely throughout the game. However, with brand new, its effect is they also then have to trash the other 2 cards, so definitely pay attention to what they put in their trash, because they could potentially recycle that later with Rebecca or Mancherry, because the way Sakazuki sets up putting people in the blender is being able to retrieve stuff from their trash and then being able to play it again. And that's something that you need to pay attention for and stay on top of. And then obviously if they don't get those from the brand new search, they'll be looking for any kind of 2K counter that may be revealed, or like a Borsellino blocker, if that's kind of the backup plan there for them, is the cards that they'll probably be looking for. And then if you don't see brand new drop turn 1, that means they don't have it. So that is some big info for you to take in, and it kind of helps you out as well, because that means they don't gain that extra info as well and help them out for the card draw. And it just saves you, because then they can't take advantage of dropping brand new on turn 1. So that is what Sakazuki is going to be doing, and just kind of what you can kind of pay attention for and look out for if they do drop the brand new search, and then if they don't. So let's jump into the big moment. So jumping into Sakazuki's turn, they drop brand new. So let's see what they grab. And they're going to draw a Hina, and they trash a Great Eruption and another Hina. So interesting draw to them, and that'll move us into our turn 2. And what we're going to do and break that down. So back to our turn, and what we're going to want to do is you're going to want to lead off, just attack first, 5k on 5k. see what they do. They'll more than likely take the life hit unless they're feeling super confident or overloaded with like their 2k counters. So attack first, see what they do. Then we're going to drop our 3 costs. So looking at my hand in this game, we are looking great. We have 2 Zoros, and we have Beppo, and we have 2 copies of the boys. So we are able to play very, very aggressive, and that instills a very high sense of confidence for me personally, knowing that I'm going to be able to rinse and repeat this strat because it's very, very strong. However, again, it can be any 3 cost. If your 3 cost is the Rush Zoro, though, this is a tip: do not attack with Rush Zoro on your turn 2. Why that is very, very bad is because that can straight up lose you the game. Because if you attack with Rush Zoro, then their next turn, they can then focus all of their cost removal on getting rid of your 4 cost. And then depending on what they use, if they use like Hound Blaze or whatever, that boosts Sakazuki by 3k. So if they then attack you or use Leftover Dawn to attack you for 7-8k, you cannot do anything to keep the Rush Zoro up. So instead of us getting the card from our life, which is very vital against Sakazuki because we do not have cards that allow us to draw, so being able to get the couple cards from your life early is very, very helpful. And if you attack with Rush Zoro in turn 2, that takes away that ability. And the worst is they remove your 4 and then they attack your 3, so you lose both of them, and they don't have to really exhaust anything like too heavy there, and it just puts you down into potential hand starvation mode, where if you try to keep Zoro up, you're gonna burn through the cards in your hand, or you just lose Zoro for free basically, and it doesn't let you get them to burn the stuff from their hand and take advantage, because then for turn 3, if they don't have stuff, that should be a big sign for you, and then you can play more aggro and add more pressure. So basically, biggest tip, just don't attack with Rush Zoro on turn 2. But after you drop your 3 though, we're going to drop either the boys or Beppo, and then go from there and end our turn. So into the game, we're going to attack first, and we get the life from them, and now we're going to drop Zoro for a 3, then quickly use our ability, get rid of the 3 Dawn, get rid of their brand new, bring in the boys, end our turn, and jump into Sakazuki turn number 2. Alright, so into Sakazuki turn 2, they are only going to have 4 Dawn. So with that, what that means is it is literally impossible for them to remove both of your characters. They can only remove one of them, and there's only 2 ways they can do that. Both of them involve them attacking you first with their leader. They're going to attack 5-on-5, which is fine. Take that hit because we want the card from our life because it helps us out. And then the only options they have after that, because with them attacking, that triggers their leader ability. With when attacking, they get to -1 cost. So they will put that -1 cost on your 3 cost character. So Zoro, in this instance, will go down 1. And then they would either have to drop Rob Lucci on turn 2 or have to use Hound Blaze, and they wouldn't be able to get the full effect of Hound Blaze. So they'd only be able to then bottom deck your 3 cost character, and then they wouldn't be able to get the buff because they have to attack you first before playing either Rob or Hound Blaze, or unless they have Great Eruption and Hound Blaze, the other combo. But that is a major investment for them to do if they do that, like turn 2. And why that is so huge is that is, again, their only options to get rid of at least one of your character. So why the strat is so good is because if they do not have either Rob or Hound Blaze, they can't get rid of both, like, any characters. And you're going to have 2 moving into turn 3, which is absolutely massive in this matchup, because it puts insane pressure on them, because we're already going to be up 2 characters going into the pivotal, like, turn 3. And then the major things, if they do not do that strat of attacking and then dropping Rob or Hound Blaze, expect them to probably play Kuzan or Borsalino. Those are like the 2 backup options. But if they drop Kuzan or Borsalino, they may not have Rob or Hound Blaze, or they're saving them. For me, how I look at it is I always expect my opponent to have like their best combo, and then I just kind of work backwards from there based on what they play. So I always assume that they have like the combo of the cards they need, especially with how many cards in hand there are. But again, That's their only options though, to remove only one, and only can remove your 3 cost. And why that's major is, again, it's a ton of info that you're able to then gain no matter what they do. You're able to figure out a bunch of stuff going into like the pivotal turn 3. So let's jump back into the game and see what they do. So into Sakazuki's turn here, they draw. See what they do, what they're going to have to play here. Try to get rid of one of our characters. Has to be Zoro, though, is their only option. And they use their ability, filter out, trash the brand new so they can keep something. And we'll see what they do. Pawn it over. They got a bunch of cards, so they drop another brand new. So that means they're brand new heavy. And they got Hound Blaze, which is big, because now they're going to attack us. 5 on 5, they minus Zoro down, and we're able to get our life with Luffy, and then they Hound Blaze us out, and that's going to do it. Again, one of the only ways that they could get rid of one of our cards, which is something I always expect, is from them. I always expect, again, my opponent to have like a good, if not like their best hand, because for RP Law to work, you got to put in a little bit at a time just to learn what is in your opponent's deck, like their key cards, and you can kind of just work backwards from that. What you're looking for, what to expect, and then if they don't have that, their key cards, it's such a big like game changer. So again, one of the possible combinations for them to get rid of one of our characters, as expected, they're able to use Hound Blaze. So now we jump into the all pivotal turn number 3. So turn 3 is the most pivotal turn of the game. This turn, pretty much for me, when I look back and kind of dissect whether I win or lose, this is normally the pivotal turn that sets things up. First and foremost though, after you draw, see what you get, kind of adjust from there. Attack with your characters if you have 1 or 2 left, then your leader, and then depending on what they have out, obviously in our current game it's a little different, but in the other sections, whoever they place, you're going to want to like remove them, because again, we're all about playing insane pressure, very aggro with this strategy, and being able to wipe their board on this turn is pretty big, because then it just limits their options, because they have no like rush type characters, so that way you know they can only attack with their leader. So how we look at it, going off our hand, so before we draw here, we already have like a beautiful setup. I've got Beppo, we have the boys, we have Zoro, and we got Rush Luffy from our life. So that kind of sets up our like end game option with Luffy. So if you're able to then hit the 3-4 strat again, I would say go for that, because it is so strong, because then you get another 2 characters out, and depending on their board, so like it also depends on how much Don you have. So if you're able to throw the boys down, have 2, you're going to go into having 4 Don. So having the Gordon or Otama is like huge for this as well. Like if you have one of those, this is like a lights out. Obviously I don't. I have Fire Fist, but they played another search so they could do the Hound Blaze to get rid of one of our characters, which is big, because then it opens up things as well, because again, if they use Hound Blaze, then they can't play a 4-cost character in their turn 2. So that eliminates their options. However, if they didn't do that, I would probably expect like them to have dropped the Borsalino, the Kuzan, so try to remove that. So you move that, and then ideally you'd hit the 3-4 again. Like if you use Gordon or Otama to remove one of those, then if you have another 3-4, go for that. If not, you just kind of adjust. From there, you could attack heavily with your characters, use your Don, divide it up, and then bring someone out. Again, you can minus the 3 from anywhere on the field. But if you're able to hit another 3-4, you put just insane pressure on them, where they then like have to have Rob Lucci turn 3, or they lose the game. Because again, we're coming into this turn, like if they haven't removed either your characters on their turn 2, you're attacking them 3 times on this turn. Like turn 3, you're attacking them 3 times. We already got the 1 life at the beginning of attack for turn 2, so they're at the 3 life. So then if you're able to then swing with 3 on this attack, if they then don't have Rob Lucci to bring in on their turn 3, it's over for them. There's nothing they can do. You will have overwhelmed the board, and this just lights out from there on out. So if the only other option they have to kind of contend is then they also then have to burn through all their counters in their hand, which is great for us, because depending on what they burn, that limits their options, because a lot of the cards that they need to burn are also like on play effects for the cost removal. So getting them to burn their 2k counters and stuff like that means they then can't use that to cost remove your characters as well, which is huge, because then it only limits their options to, again, having like the event cards that they need, and then depending on what they've already trashed and stuff like that and used on you, they may not have just the options to be able to use that. Because again, turn 3, it's a lot of pressure they were able to put on them. They have not been able to filter through using their leader ability that much, and they wouldn't have played like the other cards that lets them draw. So you're kind of putting it all on like our same playing field, where we don't get the card draw advantage and we don't have the card filtering. So being able to be this aggro kind of takes away that key aspect of their deck as well, and it just leaves it down to sort of the luck of who got the better opening hand, what you draw, and it keeps us close. And being able to put the pressure on them gives us just a massive advantage, because the later this game goes on, then they're able to filter through and get the cards they need. But however, based on our hand right now, again, we lost our Zoro, which was expected to lose one of them. That's how normally I kind of gain from it. But we have a just excellent hand. We have a beautiful setup here of now I'm able to do, based on what they've done, we can go for a 4/4. So I could drop a 4-cost character next turn because we're going to have 4 Don. And then I can still use Law's ability to get rid of their brand new because he is within range. And then I can bring out another 4, which would be like the boys, because you get the 2 to kind of boost up and set up from there. So let's jump into our turn 3 and break down how we're going to go about this. Alright, so we draw, we get another Beppo, which is absolutely massive for this, because now it opens up the door for us to do a ton of different things. And I'm able to just play with supreme like confidence here. So we have the 4 Don, probably go Beppo, and then bring in the boys to set up another when attacking threat, because that puts pressure on them to then have to target Beppo, because they will always target your when attacking characters. It doesn't matter who it is, Zorojuro, Search Law, whatever. So let's attack first, attack them, see what they do. They burn Mancherry, which is fine. Then you attack them again. We get them to burn a Tashigi, which is also fine. So now I'm going to throw it on Beppo, get the 4, and then we'll use this, get rid of their brand new again, and then we'll bring in the boys and end our turn there. So why that is absolutely massive is because looking at our hand right now and getting the boys with the 3, so our next turn, we're now able to set up a bunch of different things here for no matter what they do. Is I can hit another 3/4 strat. It'll be investing a lot of resources because we have Fire Fist as a removal, so I'm going to be sitting at 5 Don. So if they bring in, at this stage, the cards for them to bring in will be right around like 6k attack. So the Fire Fist would drop them down for 2. That would leave us with 3 Don. So I'm able to hit another 3/4 again with Zoro and Beppo if I want, or depending on what they do and who they play out, we also have Rush Luffy, which rush characters for me in this matchup pretty big, because against removal decks it doesn't matter. Like, rush characters are pretty strong because removal decks are very strong because they're able to pick off like whoever you set up, but rush characters don't need that turn setup. They get to attack right away. So being able to apply pressure against like Sakazuki is big, because then you get the guaranteed attack in. So that's why I like running personally the rush characters, and it just fits my playstyle and stuff. But that shows you like my thought process a little bit. Hopefully it helps looking into my hand, trying to set up the future turns and stuff like that. But let's jump into and see what Sakazuki does. Alright, so Sakazuki turn 3, this is their option. They're going to have 6 Don. So they have to play Rob Lucci this turn, or they are in big trouble. So how they're going to go about this is they need to use their leader. They're going to attack your rested character. So if you have, depending on what's in your hand, you can then also transition your 3-cost character into like the 1k counter. If you would like to keep them up, I would probably recommend that, especially depending on the board. So if they didn't get rid of any of your characters on turn 2, you're now going to be looking at them with 4 characters on the board, with 2 of them being rested. So how they're going to go about this though is they'll normally attack your 4-cost character, just because, again, the difference 3 and 4 is pretty big for them in the cost removal. So they'll attack your 4 cost. I'd recommend, if you can, try to keep it alive because it's another attack for the next turn. And then depending on what's in your hand, you can kind of go from there though, if you can or if you can't. And then their best play is they then need to have Rob Lucci, because again, they have to have Rob on this turn. But their best play is the combo Rob, because with Great Eruption is a pretty strong card because it lets them draw a card as well, and it only costs 1 Don. So they'll be sitting with the 6 Don here. And what they do normally is they'll attack minus the 3 cost if you played a 3 cost, down 1. But why it's also big though in this turn, if you have the opportunity to play a 4 and a 4, is it also then opens up and puts more pressure on them to have to invest like even more stuff, because the 4 and the 4 makes it so it's almost nearly impossible for them to get rid of both 4 costs. And so you're just things to think about based on the Sakazuki deck is like 4 cost characters much harder for them to remove early on in the game, unless they have like the random Ice Age or something like that. But what's big is normally they're going to drop the Great Eruption. Like they'll attack minus the 3 cost down if you have a 3 cost, and then use Great Eruption on 1 of your 4 costs. Again, prioritizing the when attacking characters. Then they'll drop Rob, KO 2 of them, and then depending on the outcome with them attacking your rested character, so you'll be sitting like ideally, if you can't afford to, definitely keep your protect the one that they attack, so that way next turn you're going with 2 characters, and then it kind of simplifies what you're going to be doing next turn. If they do that, is you want to remove Rob, and then hopefully just kind of keep up from there. And this is where it's kind of going to the next turn from the game on. You just need a little bit of draw help, because depending on what you draw pretty much wins you the game. But if you do hit just like a couple turns here of just duds, then you can be in trouble, just because this is where the game kind of transitions. The later the games go is where it transitions to favoring Sakazuki, and because they're able to just filter so many cards, and they have so many cards what they play that lets them then draw an additional card. So this is like where you pretty much know how the game's going to go based on how they go from this turn. So that is normally like, if they did not remove any of your characters turn 2, you're looking at them with the 4 characters. They have to have a Rob Lucci, or it's just over for them, because then you're going to be looking at them potentially your turn, beginning of your next turn, especially if you then use a character to keep up whatever rested character. You could have 4 characters looking at them plus your leader, so that's 5 attacking, and then you can just honestly divide your Don up and you can just tee off on them, and then there's nothing they can do to kind of come back from that. And that's why playing so aggressive and everything, it just limits the stuff they can do. But however, it is a high commitment to be able to pull this off, and you're going to exhaust like a lot of resources, so you got to be able to hopefully once you go into it, you got to be able to commit to it. So that's kind of their main options. Their turn 3 is they need to remove some of your stuff, and for them they need to remove at least 2, whether it's by attacking or by using a combination of their cards here. But again, them not having Rob Lucci is pretty much pivotal for the game regardless, because for them to beat you using the strategy, they have to be able to play Rob Lucci minimum 2 times, and if they can't do that, then things are looking good. So let's jump in and see how this turn plays out. Alright, so Sakazuki's turn, see what they do. They're going to be, again, 6 Don, and a little bit of the options. Rob Lucci costs 4, so it limits things. So Great Eruption, they pop on Beppo, minus him down 2. So let's see how they go from here. They're going to Hound Blaze him out, and then attack the boys there, 8 on 5. Nothing we can do about that. Got to take that. But kind of massive, because again, now that kind of strands them with 3 Don. And that's great for us, because again, their heavy hitters are 4. Like the core cards in their deck are all going to be right around that 4 cost. So like all their main blockers, like all their blockers, honestly, like Rebecca's 4, Borsellino 4, and then if they run it like Sabo's 5. So that already eliminates the options for them there. But again, they're still able to get rid of 2. So even if they would have set it up the other way, they get rid of 2. They're going to leave it at 1. And where that plays us in a decent spot, because again, the other big thing is There are other 3-cost like characters if they wanted to play commit. If they only have like the Hinas or like the on plays, they're not gonna want to like sacrifice using that, because then they won't get any utility out of the abilities. So that is why they're just taking the 3. But that's huge for us because that gives us a lot of info, and majorly the info is just straight up they don't have anything we have to worry about removing. So we then can save and invest our Don, which will set us up for a bunch of different little options now with the next turn, because we'll be rolling into like the 5, so we could just straight up drop Luffy, who's rush, get the immense pressure, and then we can still bring in another character with the rest of Don from there. But before we jump in to the rest of the game, I want to give you guys this right here. A little bit of a cheat sheet of the RP Law turn guide for the 3-4 strategy, the conditions, kind of brief summary of everything we've covered so far, like in the video. So feel free, like if you want to like screenshot this or whatever, if that helps you, a little note taking, stuff like that. But want to do something like this because give you guys just like the little bit, again, the structure, so then you can start there and then build on it yourself. And I don't want to go like super past this because there's so many variables, because the card game, so many different draws, and the later on you get on the games, like the probabilities and stuff always change. But if I can give you guys at least just the basics, especially the first like few turns, to know what like the absolute things that are to be expected and like the options for like you and your opponent, that's what I want to do with this. So yeah, again, quick little summary there. The beginning of the game, you're looking for a 3-cost character, and then the boys or Beppo, and then there's nothing you can do, so you end it. So turn 2, you always want to attack first to kind of see and judge what they do, if you're able to hit the life, or if they play something to keep use a counter that early. Then you drop your 3-cost character. Again, if you're dropping Rush Zoro, do not attack with Rush Zoro. And then use the leader ability to get out brand new if they have brand new. If not, it's fine. Then you bring in either the boys or Beppo. And then moving into your turn 3, you're going to ideally use your Otama or Gordon. That's like the best bet, but any of your cost removal works because you'll reduce the power of their character. Because for me, always expect on turn 3 to them to have something out, especially again the Borsellino blocker or the Kuzan. Both of those you'd like to get out. Then if you can repeat turn 2 strat with a hit the 3-4, go for it, because that is it's very, very strong. You can then you'll have, because again you're gonna be sitting at, depending on what your Don is, depending on what you do. Like if you throw Beppo out instead of the boys, attack with Beppo to get the rest of Don, and then you'll still have like the 4 Don to go from there on this turn. So you'll have the 3 Don regardless to be able to minus, and then you can still play like whoever. So you shambles out like then their character, bring in ideally another version of, you kind of need a 4-cost regardless. Ideally though, if you have another copy of like Beppo or the boys there, that's like the key, like the prime thing. You'll be looking very, very good if you're able to hit this twice, like early game. Is fantastic. Basically one of the best like options you can do. And then turn 4 and after, it just kind of depends on what cards you have, and you have to then be able to you gotta make like a soul read, whether you want to commit to going like super aggro, but you just gotta this is where playing the game, playing the deck is what will lead you to things that you're personally comfortable with, and then that will lead you to be able to set up the stuff that you want to do and make the calls that you want to do like from there, because you always have to adjust normally late stage of the game based on like what's in your hand and like what's on the field. So you have to make those adjustments. If you want to go for it, just understand the risks that you're going to be taking if you go like super aggro, but also understand the risks you'll be taking if you don't go super aggro and stuff like that. And then yeah, the quick little summary of the pros and the cons. Pros, this strategy, you can straight up win games against not only Sakazuki, anybody very, very fast, because you're just able to flood the board, especially if you're able to keep up with wiping their board. Like again, at the end of like turn 3, you could have 4 characters out and they'll have nothing. It's nuts. And you always know early game the options that your opponent can play. There's only certain things, and just the pressure you're able to put onto them is immense. because it forces them to have their key cards or their key setup. They have to have at least a version of that to be able to keep up with you, and it's nuts. The only cons with doing this strategy over the other ones I'll show you guys is it's kind of, again, late game. It becomes very draw dependent because unfortunately we're just lacking the abilities of like Sakazuki being able to card filter and their cards letting them draw more. We just straight up don't have that. So it is a little bit dependent on the cards you're going to get from your life and what you draw in these turns. The other thing is if you go super aggro, you can overheat. It's a mistake early playing on this deck that I've used to make like a bunch. It's very easy to get stuck into like a rhythm, and then you just go all out without like kind of pay attention to like what's going on with your hand and stuff like that, and you can burn out of cards very fast, especially if you're hitting the combos a lot. So that also like makes it so your defense isn't super there, but it's why we have other cards in this deck like Rad Beam and stuff to hopefully balance that out if you're able to get it. But yeah, this is the turn guide for the 3-4 strategy for each part of this series. I'm going to give you guys one of these so that way you'll have like the little cheat sheets if you're interested in playing RP Law, if you're new to RP Law, stuff you can just base off him to kind of teach you the mechanics of this deck and be able to keep up with like the top deck in the game, Sakazuki, and hopefully ideally then you're able to then make your own adjustments from there and play how you're comfortable. So yeah, let's now jump into the turn 4 and see how things play out. Alright, so here we go. We draw, we get ace, which is pretty nice because it gives us more options here, but because they don't have anything on the field, how we're going to play this is we have the Luffy option, which is awesome because I love Luffy, and Luffy just fits my playstyle a lot. So we're going to attack him first, 5-on-5, and they take the life, which is big. So we attack them again, 5-on-5, and now they counter out. So now they're thinking, oh, they only can attack there. We throw down Luffy, bang, attack them again, 6-on-5 now. They take another life, they're down to 1, and now I'm able to push even more aggression here. Is we're able to then use Law's ability again, -3, and bring out Beppo, get another one back, and now we're sitting there going into 5 again, which sets us up again. I'm playing around our removal of Fire Fist, and our opponent concedes because there's nothing they can do, and the reason there's nothing they can do is, let's break it down. Look at their hand. They don't have Rob, so them not getting Rob, they lose the game. It's massive. But also something for you to know is a lot of their key cards, depending on how they're playing, if they're burning the counters, that means they're not going to have like the counters in hand, because like cards like Kuzan, Rob Lucci, their bigger Borsellino, stuff like that do not have counter, and obviously like their event cards do not have counter. They don't run any counter events, so that's kind of in the back of your mind of stuff to do. And opponent knows because of the rush pressure that we were able to add. Even if they would have burned, they would have had to, because they just got the Toshigi, I believe, if that goes the right way. They would have to burn 2 cards in their hand, like 1 Sabo and either the Kobe or the other Sabo there. And then this turn, they wouldn't have like anything. They would have to, their only option based on their Don and their life, they would have had, what, 7? Not 7, 8. Sabo is 5, so that's a big investment. Or if they wanted to throw down the blue Borsellino, that would only got rid of a 4 cost, and then that means they can then only attack with the 5k or 6, I guess, if they put the other Don on their leader. So they'd probably attack like your Luffy, but if you based on your hand, they're probably also assuming that you're going to be able to counter out of that, which I would have done. Like if they attack Luffy for 6, I would have used Zoro counter out, because then it leaves them with nothing, and depending on what they play down, they only have the 1 life. We're able to attack minimum your next turn, the upcoming turn. We were attacking minimum 3, and it's just massive because if you have the removal, depending on what they place out, if they play a blocker, remove it. If they don't, also look at your life. I have 3, so I don't really need to worry about even if they drop the 7 cost Borsellino. I don't have to worry about too much because they got the life, so I could then keep stuff for multiple late game attempts, like removing their blockers, because even if they were able to survive the upcoming turn and play like a blocker, you move the blockers regardless so you can attack. And The reason, again, I like rush characters is they fit my playstyle and allow me to push the pace and be super aggressive when I want to be and if I can be. Because you're able to, especially like early game, you're able to just catch your opponents of needing to have like a perfect hand to be able to keep up with the pace that you're able to like put on them. And if they don't have that, they can't win. Like you win, and that's what we were able to do here. Our opponent knew it. They would just be stalling things out based on their hand, and especially because they can only attack. They don't have the removal to be able to get anything out. But also why that's big is because of like your 5 costs. If you're able to drop one at this stage of the game, that's a big investment for them, because they'd have to be able to play multiple cards to get your 5 costs in range of like the 2. So Rob Lucci, it has to be 2 or less. Same with like Hound Blades, has to be 2 or less, unless they have any of their other like wild characters to throw down. But if they're throwing down those characters, then that normally should signal to you that they're like kind of in trouble, because our opponent wouldn't have been able to do too much there. Like they had nothing in hand. They would have to use like the Kobe ability and stuff like that to get someone down, but then they wouldn't have been able to get rid of like multiple. So either way, next turn we're going to be swinging at them multiple times, and we'll have 5 Don. So if they don't get a blocker out, like if they went for the removal play and then weren't able to get a blocker out, you have the 5 Don. You have like say like 2 characters. You're then able to swing like pretty good blows, like 2, 7, like a 7 and 8K, and not much they can do about that. So that is going to do it for the very, like, hopefully this helped you guys, like, wanting to go pretty in detail and break down how to beat Sakazuki with a 3-4 strategy. Also, though, the video is not going to be over. We're gonna go back to like the normal sort of gameplay there, and I'll kind of give you guys now, hopefully giving you guys how I kind of like process things in a little bit of my play style. So when I show you with the same kind of thing going on just in our regular like longish form gameplay without the pauses and stuff, you kind of see just kind of real time speed a little bit there, and we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, this was this up to here, very fun to make. I like being able to be creative. It's cool coming up with little graphics and stuff, and being able to like showcase my notes and stuff like that to hopefully help you guys out and be able to break things down. Because again, how I look at that, Sakazuki, top deck overall and stuff like that. But however, with that being, you expect a lot of people are going to be playing Sakazuki and want to play Sakazuki, and our deck with like the builds and stuff does match up well against Sakazuki. Like overall, I think our win percentage against the Sakazuki is right around like the highest. We just have other decks that are problems, and we'll get into that in the future. But against Sakazuki, always a good thing if your deck matches up well against the top deck, because playing the numbers game, if you go out to like your local card shop, game shop for like the little local stuff, or even with friends, if most people are running Sakazuki, if you have a deck that can beat Sakazuki a majority of the time, then you're looking good. So yeah, thank you guys. I hope this was cool, helped you guys learn a little bit, especially if you're new to the game or just interested in checking out RP Law. But yeah, we'll jump into another game and showcase like everything we've kind of learned and laid out into one complete game. All right, here we go against Sakazuki. We got the 3-4, so we're gonna be giving it a go. See if we can withstand what they got going on. See if they got their brand new, if they can drop him or not. But we'll be dropping 2 when attacking, so we're gonna put the pressure on them. They're definitely gonna want to get rid of one of them. They don't have the brand new, which is massive. So I am just gonna attack them 5-on-5. Let's see if they burn anything or if they take the life. Okay, they take that early. We're fine with that. We'll deploy this. Minus the 3. This gives us 2 to 4. And we'll do our bear friend, just because when attacking. So they're only at the 4. So they had to expend some resources here. So we'll see if they can do anything about this or not. And so if they could maybe get rid of 1, but they would have to attack first. Unless they can hit the great, unless they have multiple, like the Great Eruption and Hound Blaze in their hand. Alright, well, they just used Hound Blaze regular. I'm at 3 and 4, brother. You gotta attack first. I think they goofed it. I think they know they goofed it. So we'll see. It's setting in that they mess up what they were supposed to do. So they need to attack us, then minus Zoro down, and then they could use that to bottom deck him. But it is what it is. We'll see how the rest of this goes, though. So they grabbed Hina. Alright. Trashing their main 2 cards. So they trashed 2 Borsalinos. Alright, that's kind of big because they can't get this guy back. Draw a card, draw a Don. So I'm at 3, they're at 4. We'll attack them like this first off. Alright, that's fine. I'll attack him again. This time 5 on 5. Alright, so now I'm down with 3. So I could drop another Zoro and then go into the boys here. Which is probably what I'm going to do here. But I'll attack him again 5 on 5. Alright, so we'll get out 2 more. So 1, 2, 3. Get rid of this. And bring in the boys. Get us back up to the 4. And we'll see what they got going from here. Because next turn I can then drop Luffy. And ideally, we can hopefully keep some pressure on here. But we'll see. Just depends how if he attacks this and can get rid of both of these, would be kind of bummy. Just because I have 2 rad beams, so I don't have a way to reduce his rob, which I assume he's got. Okay, why is he just threw him down? What is going on? Okay, we've got this guy in the blender. He didn't have any. Okay, well, very fortunate for us that he doesn't have Great Eruption or anything. But also, I don't know. He could have, again, attacked one of our guys first, then minus a 3, and then drop Rob. I think I'm going up against a new Sakazuki player, so I'm not gonna hold this against them too much here. So we'll see. And they're attacking me. Okay, that's absolutely nuts. Okay, I do not know what they're doing. All right, this might get chalked up into the silly bin here. So 6 and 6. Well, I'm definitely gonna do this first off, so get him down, and then we'll attack once, 5 on 5. All right, and then so where I'm at 5. So we'll attack again 5 on 5. So now I'm already up to 8, which is pretty nice. So we got that. Alright, I'll attack him again 5 on 5. So get him down there. Alright. Attack him again 5 on 5. Okay, we get him down to 0, which is pretty big. Not sure what they got, but all right. So I'll deploy Luffy, attack him 6 and 5. Dang, the straight up didn't have anything. That's nuts. What a solid C. Well, I mean that's how it goes sometimes. No, I mean they definitely goofed. They could have gotten rid of a couple of our guys there, but based on their hand, we would have won regardless. And that's why the 3-4 strat is super solid against Sakazuki, because it forces. They have to have the combo cards. They have to have Great Eruption and Rob Lucci's to beat you if you run the strat. Especially if you're able to hit it twice like we did, like back to back, it puts just too much pressure on them. But obviously though too, I mean they made a couple mistakes, because they could have got rid of these. Like when they first went with the Hound Blaze, if they would attack first then Hound Blaze, they could have got this guy out. And then last turn, if they would have attacked, I don't know why they didn't attack a character. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered like too much, but they should have attacked a character. Then they could have put the -3 and then dropped Rob, and then we got rid of this guy as well. But depending on what they attacked with, like I had the, what do we have? We have like, they might have been able to get rid of, let's say they got rid of the 3. Then this turn, we would have blasted him down, got rid of Rob, brought in a blocker, and they wouldn't have been able to do anything. The next turn, I mean, they would have had to drop Hina and then Rob again, but then that would have only got rid of who would we had out? These two, so they probably would have got rid of Luffy and then had to attack here, but I had this, so we would have kept them up and had 2, so we were probably good regardless, just because we still had our life as well. But that is why though the 3-4 strat is super good, just because of you put a lot of pressure on your opponent, and again, if they're not well adept to it, they may make mistakes. This is part of the game. Obviously they definitely did during, but I mean they had no counter. They straight up had no counter, which is pretty wild. It's why again we put the pressure on them early, and they got to burn through all their counter early. And it just worked for us that these were the draws that they got. Along with I mean, they had the 2 Borsalinos as well early that helped us out, and we were just able to get rid of their key cards. Rob would have been gone, and the next turn they would have dropped those 2. But yeah, I think we were looking good. Again, we just had a good, like, it's kind of the perfect progression of being able to go 3-4, 3-4, and then get your 5. And then the fact that Beppo and Zorojuro gives you Don. Because basically what I was going to do there is, even if they could block out Luffy, I was then going to minus our 3, because they're at 6. We would have dropped down to 5. And then I could have attacked with him, and I would have got Law out. So we would have been looking good there, I think, regardless. Because we would have been setting up to go for the game next turn. And yeah, winning turn 4 against Sakazuki is kind of the dream, though. Regardless of what happens, we'll take that. And yeah, that is just the 3-4 strategy. Is if you're able to get it out, it's pretty good. It is very, very strong. I've been enjoying it a ton when I play against Sakazuki. Like especially if I'm able to hit it back to back, I normally win. If you're able to do anything like this, or just regardless, if you're able to just get out 2 characters a turn after you hit this, you just put so much pressure on to them. They then have to have like multiple Rob Lucci's and then multiple like Great Eruptions and potential Hound Blazes as well to get rid of your board. Like, being able to put bodies out that fast is a quick way to overwhelm them, and is how you also take advantage of like their card filtering thing, of how they're able to like draw and all that kind of stuff. If you're able to jump on them quick, which the 3-4 strat like allows you to do, you don't have to worry about them then getting their like perfect setup later on in the game. Like once you get into higher turns, you just go super aggressive. And yeah, feeling super good about that, because also yeah too, we have the 2 rad beams, so we would have been able to then start using that to stall out for us as well, and just continue to just kind of chip them down. which is super cool. And yeah, 3-4 strat. Wanted to give you guys another little demonstration. This is the power. This is like the top level, the power of the 3-4 strat. Obviously, though, your games are not always going to go like this. You'll run into issues. You may hit it early, but then you could just draw like horrible stuff or get whack stuff from your life. Like we got an Otama. We would have got another Otama and a Gordon. Obviously, those don't really help us continue with getting the bodies on the board. It would have then come down to what we draw. But if you're able to hit the 3-4 strat early, then you just need to continue on and keep pumping out bodies on the board. Because again, you just need like that one turn where they can't remove your characters, and then you got them. That's pretty much how you beat Sakazuki. Obviously, though, they do have the potential to clear your board continuously, and if they do that, you're probably not going to beat them. Just because there's nothing you can do about that. But when the 3-4 strat hits, it hits, and you beat them. There's like nothing. The reason I like this strat so much is if you're able to like continually get the stuff you need, there's literally nothing Sakazuki can do to beat this, which is awesome. It's just, unfortunately, we're just super dependent, and you just got to get a little bit lucky out of getting some key cards from your life or from drawing, because we don't have the draw ability. Like if we had the filter ability Sakazuki does, it'd be lights out, but we don't, unfortunately. So this is kind of what you're kind of looking for, though. Especially if you can use the ramp up guys with Beppo and Zoro here to get your down up, and then that way you can continually pump out characters on the board while using your cost removal. And you just need to overwhelm them with characters. Golden rule, prioritize character area the best you can. But yeah, that is going to wrap it up, though. I want to just give you guys like a full, kind of a little bit of everything. The first part of this series. It's been, I don't know, I'm doing a little something different, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This is part 1. Part 2 will be up soon, and then part 3. Each part also will have a different deck build. I want to build this out like 3-4 strat is achievable with this current build I'm using, which I feel like is like the most aggro build. And then I'm going to do kind of like a middle one. I kind of want to do like a triangle, and then we'll do another one that's like more control based. And then that way you'll have 3 examples of 3 different decks you can kind of test out, and 3 different play styles and stuff you'll be able to use in Sakazuki. And that way you can also plug and play your own stuff that you like with the decks and kind of go from there. I just want to give you guys the kind of game plans of going up against Sakazuki, but yeah, a little bit more in depth this time. So yeah, part 1 is done, the 3-4 strategy with my build here. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one.